Blessed be. Thank you for joining AstroPsych. Today is February 20th, 2026. It is 11:32 a.m. I am hailing out of Huddleston, Virginia, Eastern Standard Time. Adjust your clocks accordingly. But we are on the heels of what is known as the Great Conjunction, occurring at 00:45 minutes in Aries. We have Neptune at 00:45, Saturn at 00:45, conjuncting here in the sky. And this has really been talked about so much out there in the astrological communities. If you're following this type of information, I know that you have seen a lot. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because we know what's happening out there. If you've been following people and listening, we've been prepared for this. And we're already seeing a lot of events transpire that signify what it means when we have Saturn at the 00 world point and Neptune at the 00 world point in Aries. I encourage you, look at what that means. Go further down there as we have Neptune in Aries for 14 years and Saturn in Aries for 2.5. So we've got something coming in here of an energy that there's an ask of us where, we see Saturn is the planet of restriction, like structures. Neptune is the planet of inspiration and faith. So with Saturn in this exact conjunction in a dynamic aspect to Neptune there's a sense of confusion in the air about authority, professional goals, authority figures, and it is a time when everyone might be forced to place boundaries on what is nebulous and to accept that some goals are impossible to achieve. Yes, there is a reality check coming in with the high dreaming Neptune energy asking us to make it practical, to bring it down, to place it in a structure. And it's very I am energy, very unique I will energy. So this isn't, although Neptune is a collective planet, Aries is I am, a very personal representation in the zodiac, in the sign that starts the wheel. It's the first house, the ascendant house, the most eastern time on the horizon where we are born into. And it is very willful, again, can be impetuous, wants its own way, wants to go forward, doesn't want to be stopped, very, very much an achiever. Okay, so there's a reality check coming in here about these energies in your life that you have had with others. The bigger theme here that a lot of people are missing is that Aries is opposite Libra, the 7th house originally, and that represents other people. That represents partnerships. That represents enemies. That represents those which we are closest to. So with that polarity and Neptune being a collective planet, Saturn being a personal bridge planet that brings us out to Neptune, there is this ask to balance our self-energy, what we desire at the highest levels, our highest inspirational energy, and to bring it out into the public that is a more type of energy that is of a higher inspirational energy that invites the other, that welcomes the other, even though the other may be different and may have a different viewpoint and may be at opposite sides. Libra is the diplomat, ruled by Venus, ruled by the goddess herself of love and beauty and creation and harmony. And wherever she is, she shines brightly. And we see her in the sign of Pisces at 12 degrees on the very top of the chart there, in zenith position to be seen, with the sun in Pisces, the North Node that's been in Pisces, and Mercury in Pisces. All these energies are speaking a very higher, affirming, aspirational, positive, connective energy that elevates us to love, that then allows us to heal, release, clear karma, because we have to add the layer of Pisces, which rules the 12th house, where we're dissolving our karma and doing our deepest subconscious work, going to the highest of the high. We're leaving the earth. We're leaving the entire cycle that we've been in, and now we're getting ready to shed everything, right? So that's a reflective time where we're looking back and we're letting go. And we've got something coming up here we need to look at that is creating an out of square T-square that needs to be discussed. And I just want to have that be the focal point going forward here for just a moment as we dive into these T-squares that we're seeing in the chart. So you see the first part over there. We've got the first point of Uranus at 27 degrees in Taurus, opposite blackmoonlilith at 28 degrees, barely ahead, 0, and she is in Scorpio on the 7th house, or approaching the 7th house, to enter into a different energy of Sagittarius. There is an ending there with the way that Black Moon Lilith has done her energy, in the way that it has brought security, her values, the way that she's expressed her energy onto earth in a fixed nature, in her deepest desires. The polarity of Taurus and Scorpio is other people's money, other people's taxes, inheritance, legacies, wills, other people's deepest psychology, other people's debt. Yes, debts are in Scorpio as well, in the 8th house. It all is opposite that 2nd house in its regular position, 2 and 8, Taurus and Scorpio, of values and security and money, as Taurus is ruled by Venus. So in astrology, the T-square is a very dynamic and high energy aspect pattern. And it's often described as a pressure cooker. And I think that that is a great way to look at this, because squares are 90 degrees apart from one another. And as you can see, this isn't exact, but it's very close. So I use an orb of about 5 degrees with T-squares, and out of sign T-squares, which is what this is. So 90 degrees has the nature of Mars. And Mars is ruling our Neptune and our Saturn and our Moon and our Chiron up there in the 11th house of the greater collective. This matters. Keep that in mind as I further explain this. You have a T-square being formed by 2 planets that are in direct opposition, 180 degrees apart or close to it, okay? Then there is a 3rd planet that forms a square 90 degrees apart. This 3rd planet is what is known as the apex, or the focal planet. So the focal point in these, we have double T-squares here. is the first focal point is that IC at 27 degrees in Leo, and the second focal point is that MC at 27 degrees in Aquarius, directly opposite. And this is what I want to talk about here. Opposites create a sense of being pulled between two different areas of life. So this would be our deepest needs of how we feel, Scorpio, about how our psychology makes sense, how we handle other people's money and deal with the other in relationships with money and values. It's very, very much about where we fix our psychology with others down on earth, this polarity. The square is going to create a friction, and that is going to force us to do something about this tension. It is an ask, and the apex point is the outlet where it will go. So we have an apex of a highly visible MC medium Colli, which is the midheaven, the very zenith top visible point, 12 noon of the sky where it is seen. And that means we have Aquarius up there who highlights himself as the humanitarian, the water bearer, pouring knowledge out, pouring his legacy out, pouring his gifts out, pouring what he knows and has accumulated as his personhood out to the collective for help, to serve, to be we the people archetype. The I see in Leo down there is the Imun Colli, and that is the innermost or the roots or the deepest, darkest part of the chart where nothing is seen. It is midnight, black, dark. And Leo, who is bright like the morning sun as he's ruled by the sun, is undercover there in his dynamic expression in the roots at 27 degrees and not being seen. We'll get back to that. There's 3 types of squares that you can have. And this out of sign changes it a bit because normally you have a cardinal, all 3 cardinal action signs that are fast-paced, impulsive. They focus on starting new things. Sometimes they can do too much too soon and not finish projects. I can relate to that. I've learned how to manage that energy, but it's taken time as I've had my sun progress, and it's helped me where it's moved to mature my Cancer sun sign. Remember, this chart moves. Nothing stays the same. Everything is moving. And if we don't allow us to move with these flows and changes and identify where perhaps we're stuck so we can, jumpstart and light the spark or, do something to move us, to get us into a more harmonious expression. There are fixed modalities that you can have. The fixed modality of the T-square, and that's persistence, right? That's where we see stubbornness and resistance to change. And tension, therefore, can build up until something finally snaps. And then it transforms. Or we could have the mutable type of focus, which is adaptability, which scatters its energy in too many directions. It's just everywhere. Therefore, it cannot focus. And the challenge is finding this focus amidst the chaos. And we are not done with the chaos. It is now 11:46 a.m. At 12:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will see Neptune and Saturn go exact. The last time we had this conjunction, we had it in Capricorn, and it was 1989, and it was the fall of the Berlin Wall. The last time we had Uranus and Gemini, there was a civil war. The last time we had Pluto and Aquarius, there was a revolutionary war. See, cycles is what we're seeing here, cycles that come around. But as we evolve and as we grow, we do not experience them the same way. And this is why, just because the energies are volatile doesn't mean there's going to be a war. Could there? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean it will happen. And we have to be careful. We have to be careful about exaggerating what's going on and not realizing that in order to function on planet Earth, we have to have techniques that will ground our energies, keep us centered, help us to live mindful lives where we're driving the bus. We're not letting triggers drive us. We're not dysregulated emotionally because we haven't handled our traumas and managed them, and we haven't allowed the body to process. So if these things are popping up for you where you are really stressed out and you just want to run away and hide, take a really good look at these T-squares and take a look at how these impact your chart. And on the heels of the 17th, where the solar eclipse in Aquarius occurred at 28 degrees. We have a 27-degree Uranus in Taurus. We have a 28-degree blackmoonlilith, all apexing a 27-degree. So it's shadowing the 28-degree here that we just had, where it kicked off the solar eclipse, the fire horse year in Chinese astrology, the Ramadan Mardi Gras, and where we recently saw Prince Andrew, the British royal, being held accountable for crimes against a young girl, of which I don't know if it's more than just one, but this is what we're seeing happen. So going back to this T-square and how to solve this T-square, what we do in a T-square is we look to the empty space. Since the apex planet, right, is under the most pressure, there's an opposition where usually it's an empty space and nothing is seen, okay? In this case, we have back-to-back T-squares. So the empty space is the opposite. In each case would be the empty space from the T-square of Uranus to Scorpio to the IC, or the T-square of Uranus to Scorpio MC. We have something there, which means it's active. And these aspects that they're creating is creating a lot of friction. But without these hard aspects, we would stay in our comfort zones. And we know this because they're fixed. Every sign is fixed. We have Taurus at 27 fixed. We have Leo at 27 fixed. We have Scorpio at 28 fixed. And we have the MC at 27 in Aquarius fixed. So it is a fixed T-square, but it's not exact because we've got Taurus in Scorpio water and Aquarius and Leo air and fire, right? We've got earth and water, air and fire. We've got all four represented of the elements. So I want you to think of a lightning rod here. And when you have Uranus in Taurus opposite Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, squaring a sun up there out of sign Sun, well, not out of sign, excuse me, but also squaring Pisces, because it's not in exact position, so it's not forming harmony up there. Do you see this? It's trying to, but it's not. So this out of sign T-square Think of it this way. You know how when you go over to Europe and you can't use American outlet thingies, you have to, or appliances, you got to use an adapter in order for it to work. This is what's happening. This is the imagery that's coming in. And we're having to adapt to wanting to revolutionize our sense of self so that we have stability. That's what Taurus is interested here in. And Taurus is also interested in finances, value, self-worth, and how it's put down on Earth. And it's like this earthquake is coming in, and you're looking for a new way to feel secure. And Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio is the dark goddess energy opposing. And we know what this represents. Deep repressed power, deep sexuality, parts of ourselves that we refuse to be controlled in the feminine. And in Scorpio, I have her in 29 degrees in Scorpio. I understand this energy. It is visceral and it is uncompromising. And the feminine is expressing this energy at a very high level on the eve of going into the 7th house. It's been in daily life in the 6th house of Virgo here for a while, where it's been trying to put this deep visceral energy down on Earth. It's been trying to do this and trying to speak and trying to be vocal. And as it's going to 29 degrees, it's ending. Something is shifting. These degrees are ending degrees, and the 0-0 world axis point is a beginning degree. And a solar eclipse, every year annually we have these, is a fated beginning and a fated end. So now you see what's happening with all these late degrees. Something is shifting for us in the collective around these themes. So it could feel like you're being caught in the middle of wanting this stable, comfortable life. Like, I just want to fix myself on Earth and, love my neighbor and get along and everybody be fed and everybody have a little bit of money in the bank and be able to do things that they love and not everything be so expensive and not everybody want to always do these harmful things to young people that don't give consent. And, we just want we want the government to just function the way it should for the people, but not being overlords over the people. And we really want to have a sense of community where there is a wide acceptance of everybody knowing who they are and how to fit in, and no competition, and not everybody trying to get your money and seeing you as a dollar sign. Like, Taurus really wants health. At the end of the day, it trines the 6th that wants health. That then trines the 10th earth sign, 10th house earth sign, Capricorn. They all trine each other. That wants to bring it out in a stable way. That is not what we are seeing. And that is not easy energy for us to navigate. Okay, we have got great disruptions going on in the sky in these energies. With this 2-degree Pisces up here on the midheaven, conjunct all this square energy going on, conjunct Pisces North Node where we have been, conjunct Venus in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces. All of that needs to be taken into consideration as it's forming a stellium up there and trying to unite those energies. A very young sun, highly sensitive, intuitive Pisces, and perhaps a bit too porous, meaning, taking it all in, not having any boundaries, feeling overwhelmed. Again, like you want to run away and just go hide. That's the sun is being challenged here in the midheaven. The sun here in Pisces is 12th house ruled by Jupiter and by Neptune. Neptune is in 30 degrees away of no understanding at all of this sun in Pisces. This is a completely different shift in change. So we are trying to figure out right now how to balance our own psychic sponges, what we're taking in, absorbing all the friction of the world around us, and wanting to become invisible and hide and just give up. I understand this, but I want to caution you. There's this risk of feeling like a martyr here. Pisces energy struggles with where its boundaries should be, and it has a polarity of Virgo. This is a Mercury-ruled pole to a Neptune, highly inspirational, Jupiter, high in the sky, Neptune, everything is possible. And there's an ask here with the nodes being in Pisces opposite Virgo at 8 degrees. Look, we need to go towards spirituality, but there has to be some structure, okay? There has to be a container, or you won't know where in the energies that are coming in. Very highly collective, very Aquarian. We have Pluto and Aquarius. We the people, you're not going to know where to put your energy. Water moves. Water shifts. Water in Pisces is not stable energy staying. It is in flux. It's adapting. It's able to move in and out like the sea to the shore. The square there over to Scorpio, 28 degrees, 27 Aquarius, that is an ouch. That is a big ouch of, boy, I want to forgive and merge and find my peace with this Aquarian Pisces thing going on, and we the people. But the Uranus Lilith opposition is demanding us to put boundaries down and have some radical honesty about our feminine expression that perhaps has been too emotional escapism or too dreamy in nature in Pisces, and, trying to avoid this structure. It doesn't want this. Lilith does not like structure in herself. So, she's a moving out kind of goddess. She left Adam, so to speak, in the mythology there. And, she's not sticking around. And when she goes deep into the cauldron, fixed Scorpio energy, man, she's doing some deep alchemical work there that's been done. And we're finished. But now where is she going? She's going into Sagittarius in the 7th house of balance, harmony, Venus, other people. And Sag rules the 9th house. You ruled by Jupiter, the house of God, spiritualness, and religion. And it's trying to put the feminine not in a God place of you have to love, God this way or you're going to go to hell. It's not what it's trying to do there. It's more of Lilith in this age and time and in your powerful energy. Look for her in your chart. Where is she? That's going to be the natal promise with Lilith, okay? Look to the natal promise of Lilith. It tells a story. Collectively, it's telling a story which will either, help you in this story or conflict or have an ask, or you have to line your chart up with this. Look to your 28 degree of Scorpio. There's a story of opposition to Uranus being told here right now at this time. And that story is to move into a fire mutable energy nature, divine feminine goddess, Lilith, and put again your philosophical beliefs out there, which requires you in the ninth house of Sagittarius. That's one of the layers there. In the cardinal house of Libra, one of the layers there in the seventh, asking you where in a balanced way are you going to express your mutable fires that have been in a cauldron in a way that honors this Neptune and Saturn 00 Aries, Aries moon, Aries Chiron, the wounded healer, world access message, where it is also in disharmony with Scorpio up to Aries. Does not form a degree that wants to work together. So we have to see it's going there. Once it approaches and enters Sagittarius, it will be trining the energy of Neptune and Saturn. And the moon will have moved on, and Chiron's ticking slowly. But the moon will have moved on. And the moon today, in light of this revolutionary energy that is occurring now in 10 minutes, it is 12:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This energy will set us on a new course, and it's asking us to look at these T-squares because there's a lot of conflict here relating back to our personal energy, our sexual energy, our visceral deep energy, our values, and the way we express them. Saturn here is like a dimmer switch on your sun. Think about it this way. You know, he like dims the sun. He is a malefic in that he has asks of you that are uncomfortable, that require discipline, that require you to stay focused. So you might feel over the next week or so like, I am just tired. I am just restricted. I am just over it. And all I want to do is go in my cave. This will pass. Saturn is asking us in Aries to kind of conserve so we can focus then on the bigger goal, which is Neptunian. And Neptunian goal in Aries is wanting us to focus our light instead of scatter our light, to focus our light instead of scatter it. And that is the theme on my thumbnail, because this is our ask. In light of everything going on out there, allow yourself to come into this space, just you, no other people here. Aries is solo energy, and it's asking you, where's your new beginning in everything that I have brought to light with these energies. Neptune softens this bite here of Lilith once it advances, okay? Because it'll be trining. There's some friction here right now. And Scorpio can be very vengeful on the dark side of things, in the deepest shadow, obsessive, and just spiteful. It can be this really dark energy that, you know, is struggling here, really struggling at 28 degrees, because now it's moving into 29 soon, and it's at the very end, where 29 is an anaric degree, where you are now changing the code systems within the cocoon, where it was the caterpillar, where it was the larva, right? You know, being broken down now and restructuring, adapting, changing, looking at the way we need to put our energies going forward to come out as the butterfly. So look where your Saturn has been 2.5 years and check its aspects to Lilith. And you might see a real pattern here that's coming to an end. And if you'd like to discuss that, we can certainly look at your Saturn over the last year or two. We'd probably go 2.5 years because we are in a brand new cycle. So we'll go back 2.5 years and take a look at what she's been speaking to you in your storyline. And chances are there's some great solutions there for you to tap into. I encourage you. You know the way. The kingdom is within you. You know the way to go, but it requires something of you here. It's not gonna just come to you randomly. It can. There are miraculous moments in life, but we don't usually live in the miraculous every second of our day. You know, someone's got to do the dishes. Someone's got to make the bed. Someone's got to go to work. Someone's got to keep the lights on. Someone's got to teach the children, get them clean, brush their teeth. Someone's got to feed the animals. Someone's got to gather the herbs. Someone's got to sit in the shaman tent and be the healer and help people on their journeys. Listen, this is a collective experience we're all going through and figuring out where to place these energies in light of the changing outer structures. We are being asked in the I am energy here and the soon trying to come upon us in this T-square, moving it out of position and helping us now. Decisive action, courageous action. You know, you can't just keep processing your feelings here and wait for the world to change. The transit marks a period where you are required to be a spiritual warrior, your own warrior of yourself, that then comes out into the collective. It is a self-Aries to collective 7th house partnership to 11th house, 7th trines the 11th, first is sextiling the 11th, cooperative expression. So these deep, messy insights that have been coming up, these things about you that have been stirred, it certainly has been happening in us, and we've been seeing things in the general public as well. You know, all the messy stuff going on, my goodness. The stuff that, you know, do we even want to talk about and bring attention to anymore? You know, there's a whole new world coming upon us with this exposure. I want to encourage you to stay the course. I want to encourage you to eat good. I want to encourage you to sleep well. I want to encourage you to prioritize your health. I want to encourage you to prioritize your I am inner fires. I want to encourage you to find a no drama inner circle that supports who you are in open lines of communication. And everyone has their own space of what that looks like and where you go with that. But do not lose yourself in the collective, okay? There's an ask of I am here to rise up and to take your authority and to check your inner fires and place structures around them so that you have a focused inner light. With that, I'm going to close. It's 12:11 p.m. I thank you for joining me. Until next time, blessed be and keep the fires burning.